What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the This Day podcast. My name is Megan. Thank you so much for joining us and listening to the new episode of the podcast out now with Miss Natalie Layne. Natalie is an up-and-coming Christian music artist, and we are so thrilled to have her join us on the podcast. You can find all of her music wherever you listen to music, on Spotify, Apple, all the platforms. We are so thrilled for you to check out our conversation right now with Natalie. Tune in to our conversation together, but before our conversation, check out a word from our sponsors. Hi, everybody. We are going to take a quick break from the podcast to talk about our podcast sponsor, Faithful Counseling. Faithful Counseling provides mental health therapy from a biblical perspective. They have professional licensed therapists right there and ready to help you in your time of need. To get 10% off of your first month of therapy, you can go to my link, faithfulcounseling.com/thisdayministry today to check out what they have to offer. Natalie, thanks so much for joining us this morning and hopping on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you go ahead and just take a minute and introduce yourself and just kind of share a little bit about who you are to everybody listening.
Sure. So I'm Natalie Layne. I am a singer-songwriter, artist, do a little bit of producing and arranging on my own stuff, kind of all over the place, but have loved music all my life and grew up in a really musical family and grew up in the church and um, have always loved kind of Christian and gospel music. And so I knew from an early age that that was something that I wanted to do. And now I get to do that. I get to be a gospel artist. They call my music kind of gospel pop, which I'm not mad about. Um, and yeah, so I studied some jazz in college, and all of that has kind of influenced where my music sits now. So yeah, I'm making music all the time on the road, and just so thankful to be doing the things that I've dreamed about doing since I was a little kid. It's the best.
Love it. Now, this year, it's been just kind of a whirlwind year for you. You've done a lot. You are just climbing the ladder in the music realm. It's been crazy, but
It's been crazy.
just kind of take us on that journey of what's been happening this past year for you, all the stuff that's kind of kicked off and you've hit the ground running.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been in Nashville for about 6 years now and was doing the independent artist thing and releasing music and all of that. Um, and really picked that up during COVID. But then this last year, um, kind of started thinking, I need more of a team around this. And so um, I signed a record deal with a team called Centricity Music. And um, they're also, they're Lauren Daigle's record label, like just really
Yeah.
great people who have made incredible music in the industry. And so, um, yeah, so I signed with them, and it's just been a whirlwind of a year. That is actually a really good word for it.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been working with them since last summer, and pretty much since then, just writing every day. We know that we're writing towards a project, and so just kind of really digging deep for the songs and asking the Lord what He would have us write towards. And so I think we've written close to 100 songs now. And so it's
Wow.
we have a big bank of songs these days. So that's been kind of the majority of my time, but then I'm also, traveling and um playing shows and all that stuff and connecting with people on the road, which is like my favorite part. So getting to do that has been really fun. I'm about to go on a tour this summer and probably some more this fall. So it's picking up. It's like the Lord just said it's time, and here we are. It's wild.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's the one great thing about like the industry itself is you get to connect with so many different people and just so
Yeah.
many through those connections, so many doors can open. Just talk about maybe some of your favorite times like out on the road and just those connection points that you've
Yeah.
gotten to hear stories from people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part that like it really comes alive to you when you get to hear those stories, because we don't get to hear those every day, when we're in the studio in meetings and, doing
Yeah.
the kind of deep work. But then you get on the road and you're like, wow, these songs really can matter to people. Like when they hit, the same spot in maybe somebody's life as they came from in yours, a lot of the time that happens. Um, it can be so powerful. And then you go, man, all the work is worth it. Let's do more, It just like inspires you to keep going. So, um, there have been times recently where I've been like sharing the new songs, and um one show in particular a couple of months ago that was like just so special. Like played a bunch of the new songs and then got to chat with people for a couple hours afterwards. It was like people just kept coming up kind of just like in tears and like, this blessed me. I needed this so bad. Like um there was one girl who said she was, battling depression, and this had kind of brought her out of that. And like those stories are wild. You're just like, I
Yeah.
can't believe that God allows music to be kind of used for this, It's like it's a really amazing thing how God can communicate through sound and through, the words that we're singing. But um I think when people can receive that, a word that's needed in their life along with this like melody that, you know, sometimes gets deeper into the soul than words can. Um it's really powerful to watch life change happen, and that's not something you say lightly. It's like
Yeah.
we're watching, the Lord change people, and it's the best part. So it's been really cool to see.
That's great. That's incredible. Now, your journey, obviously, you said you've been in Nashville 6 years now. So, like, you didn't start here in Nashville. Take us back to the beginning,
Mm-mm.
how this all started for you, this journey in music, is coming here, and just your story.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I grew up in Colorado, in Colorado Springs, and I love it there. I love the mountains. Like I'm a mountain girl forever.
Yeah.
But the move to Nashville was far. So that's 1,000 miles away. My whole family's there. And so I had known that I wanted to do something with music. I played since I was a little girl. I played piano, and I kind of knew that that was coming. But when it was time to go to college, um, I was kind of looking at all the options, knew I wanted to study music and theology and somehow do those together. And I like could not find a college that had both of those. I was like, what? This feels weird. This should be a thing,
Yeah.
that's studied together. Um, and eventually one of my friends was like, oh, I'm going to Belmont. I think you should maybe check it out. And I was like, okay. And so I visited Belmont University in Nashville, and they have a really great music program and they have a great theology program. And so um, I studied both of those things, and it just was like exactly what I needed. So I had kind of thought I would never end up in Nashville just because I love Colorado so much. But the Lord like used school to bring me here. And then it ended up that I graduated into 2020. So I had like all these things, planned
Yeah.
for that summer, like was going on a tour, releasing a record, like everything was kind of starting to roll. And then I graduated into that, and all of that stopped. And so I was like, Lord, what are you doing? I thought that this was like where I was supposed to be. Thought this was working. Um, and it just, when it all stopped, I was like, all right, I need to kind of reevaluate, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? Like, I know
Yeah.
it's music, but like, is it a different thing? And so, so I kind of came to the conclusion that someday I might want to teach music. I might want to teach songwriting and piano. And I'd want to do it at the college level. And to do that, you would need a master's. And so I went back and got my master's in piano during kind of COVID. And that ended up being the best thing for me because I just wrote so many songs, worked on composing, and worked on my voice and playing piano. And out of that, out of doing the master's program at Belmont, I that's when all this stuff kind of happened, because it was just kind of like a season of hiding, if anything. It was like I
Yeah.
just was in the practice room working and being with the Lord. And so I look back on that as such a gift, even though I thought it was a delay, you know. Um, and so that's kind of what's led us here and why I'm still in Nashville. And I'm so thankful that things are working out, even though I never thought I'd be here. It's crazy.
No, that's great. That's incredible. Now, looking
Yeah.
back on all of that and like your time growing up in Colorado, what would you tell yourself when you were growing up? Now that you've been through all of this, like what advice would you give yourself?
You
Hindsight.
know, yeah, I think about this a lot because I like as a kid, I mean, I do have this story where I always knew it was going to be something in music, but I just
Yeah.
like wouldn't, I almost wouldn't let myself dream big enough. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
like, um, I thought maybe I'll just like, maybe I'll just teach piano forever and maybe I'll like be a worship leader at a church. And I do all those things. I've done, I still lead worship at my church and I love to teach and, um, and I thought if I was an artist, maybe I'd just like play at coffee shops and like I love doing that too. I still love doing that. Um, but I remember the Lord speaking to me as I was growing up and being like, no, like this is gonna be your job, like, and it's okay. It's gonna
Yeah.
actually be awesome. And I almost didn't believe him, I was like, this is too much, I
Yeah.
don't think so. And so man, I just wish I would have believed God and been like
Hmm.
able to dream bigger than I could on my own, honestly, because, once we really put our faith and hope in God like that for all of our lives, I think it changes things. And so um I definitely have grown in that as I've grown up and seen him do things I never thought he'd do. Um but yeah, I wish I just would have dreamed really big and like given myself just the time and space to do that because I got nervous about it. I was like, "Ooh, like is this really gonna happen?" Like, I just wish I would have chilled out. I needed a little
Yeah.
chill in my life. But
Yeah. No.
um, I think it's something we're learning always.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
our culture is so like you gotta go, 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 like to the next thing, to the next thing, to
Hmm.
the next thing, and just to know like,
Yeah.
hey, it's okay to take a breath here. Um,
Yeah.
is good. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. The Lord sees our whole life, and I think we have so much longer to like let it marinate and let it like unfolds than we think. And like he's got it. He wrote the story already. We're not writing it. He wrote it. And so
Yeah,
that's important for me to
absolutely.
remember.
Absolutely. Now, one question we ask everybody that comes on the podcast is what is keeping you
Okay.
present during this day,
Mm.
this current day, even though the day just started? But what's keeping you present during the day, during this day?
I love that. I love that question. That's so cool. I went to sleep last night kind of with Matthew 11 rolling around in my head of like um his burden is easy, his yoke
Yeah.
is light. And if the burden doesn't feel easy, then you're probably not carrying it right. And
Yeah.
so I was rolling that around in my head this morning too, and just that's helping me this day. Be like, this is just supposed to be easy and light life with the Lord, and like it's supposed to be fun. So let's have some fun today.
I
That's
love
keeping me
that.
going.
That's great. That's great
Yeah.
advice, great wisdom to share. Now, where can people keep up with you? Where can they find everything that's happening in your life right now?
Yes. So there's music, there's tour dates, there's all the things at natalielaynemusic.com. Um, Natalie Layne Music also on all the socials if people want to see that, see the videos and stuff. But yeah, Natalie Layne Music with a Layne. That's the tricky part.
That's perfect. Great. So, thank you so
Sweet.
much for hanging out with us this morning. We loved it,
Thank you. So
but
much
we
fun.
wish you,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, wish you all the best in everything that's coming up for you. I know that God has great things in store.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The This Day podcast is thrilled to partner with the Dwell Bible app. Scripture reading is so important to your spiritual growth, and we are so excited for the ministry of Dwell and how they promote spiritually sound Bible reading. If you are busy, just like all of us, Dwell is definitely for you. You can put Dwell on your drive to work or before you're getting ready to go to bed in the evening. And you can dive in and get closer to the Lord each and every day. Check out what Dwell has to offer through our link. Friends, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. We loved our conversation with Natalie Layne. You can stay up to date with everything going on in her life through her socials, through her website. Check out all the things. And if you want to hear more about what's happening in our ministry, head over to This Day Ministries on all social platforms. We are just so thrilled at all the Lord is doing, and we want you to come be a part of it. We are headed out on the road for the For the Girl Conference tour this October, so come out and see us in Nashville, Pennsylvania, or in Kentucky, or come join us in Israel in November. Know that you are so, so loved by the God of the universe.